It's the Year of Shame Challenge.
Hello and welcome to the Year of Shame Challenge, Season 12, Episode 7. I am your host, Rich 1, and joining me today are three bald beauties, Kev, Toby, and Rich 2. Say hello, you beautiful billiard balls.
Hello.
Hello. Billiard balls.
Hello. Yes,
Hello.
So we're back for another episode, boys. Nearly caught up.
Nearly.
Got a few more. Nearly caught up. Yes, we are getting through the year. We're at the thick end. And talking of thick ends, let's see how the people are. Let's go around the room.
Yeah.
Toby James, how are you?
I'm all right, Jack. I'm all right. Hanging on in there. The baby's learnt a couple of words, which is great. Not at all annoying. We took us to weekend.
And what are they?
Well, we took us
Beer
to World
and more
at the weekend. No, there's wow, which she says over and over.
Wow.
Or everything is now a bird. The fish at the Sea Life Centre were birds. She held up a ball this morning at me and said bird. Everything is a bird.
We've been walking past.
So has she been hearing sort of, wow, check that bird out a lot from you?
No, absolutely not. One, I don't use the word bird. It wouldn't suit me.
Of course not.
And two, just no. I'm at work when she's strolling the streets, as it were. In a stroller, Kev. God. I've been laughing at all the people buying Oasis tickets.
Yeah.
Because I was there at the time, so no need to spend my mortgage on a ticket to see 3/5 of a band.
We'll have split up by the time you get your tickets.
Exactly, it's mad.
Did you eat? You didn't even try. You didn't even bother throwing your hat in the ring.
No, I sat there laughing. Literally every status and every post and every screenshot of people in the zillions in the queue. I had a giggle. I was at Nebworth. I was at Earl's Court. I was at Wembley Stadium when the Towers were there. I don't need to do this. I saw Oasis so many times. They were my favourite.
I'm sure they're so much better now that they're older, decrepit, though.
Exactly. And now that there are only 3 out of the 5,
And they're just there to grab the money.
Oh yeah, so I take umbrage at that, Kev, because they're only like 3 years older than me.
I'm sure you have treated your body far better than they have treated theirs.
Not in the 90s, man. You weren't there in the 90s, man.
Those of us that were there in the 90s and did go and see the shows don't want to do it again. We just don't want to do it again. And we don't have the hairstyles anymore, so
no. We're all boneheads, basically.
We don't have.
Yeah, we're all bonehead now. Except for Bonehead's not bonehead, because he's got a weird beard.
He's weird beard then.
Yeah. But outside of that, no, nothing to report really. Life has been lifey.
That's good to hear.
I went to Devon twice.
No, fuck it. You've done.
Oh, you've had your turn. Fuck off, Matthew.
You've had your turn. No one's interested in you going to Devon. I was trying to do the. I was trying to do the endorse it joke, but that doesn't work, does it? So don't worry.
Not if you don't endorse it. Hey!
No, there you go. Kev, what's been going on in your town?
Not huge amounts, to be honest. Sort of plodding on as normal. Had a nice wedding that I went to. Enjoyed myself a bit too much. Yeah, other than that, sort of run-of-the-mill stuff, to be honest.
Describe enjoying yourself a bit too much.
Too much to drink and slightly hungover train ride home the next day.
You are wild. You are a wild man.
Yeah, okay. I mean, like it's not quite. I'm not 20 anymore. You know, like I know I'm closer than you guys, but I'm still not. You know, living the entirely wild life.
Are you at the point now where you get the 2-day hangovers and the existential dread for the first 3 days of the week?
I mean, no, not really. But I think I've always been a reasonable within moderation sort of guy. Like, I did most of my excessive drinking before I should have been doing my excessive drinking, and by the time I could do it properly, I sort of had got over it a little bit. But it definitely takes a day out of me now rather than a couple of hours. So yeah,
absolutely. Any holidays? Anything else? What's going on with work? No,
nothing special, nothing exciting. Just run of the mill, doing my job, not going anywhere.
Fantastic. Well, I hope therefore you've got a lot to report in pile progress. Rich too. What's going on? How's the archery?
The archery is fine. We've got our club championships later this month. So
okay,
I'm trying hard with that. I've had probably even less to do than Kev, to be honest. I've not been that well recently, so everything's been a bit shit, and I've just recovered from that. So I've been a bit down in the dumps, shall we say?
Oh, mate,
but it's all better.
Shoot some arrows. Shoot some arrows, mate. Are you involved in this? Are you involved in this club championship? Then, who's your main competitor? What are you going? for?
I'll be going down. I'll be attending, but I don't think I'll be troubling the scorers that much.
No.
Nah,
there's
people there who've been going on for a lot longer who are a lot better. There's a whole range of people out here. So we just finished the beginner's course, so we've got people who are right rank novices at the moment through to people who've been shooting for 15 years.
Right. Don't they sort of rank between you? Don't you have a sort of...
Yeah. So there's kind of a system that's a bit like golf handicaps. So through the year, we have ad hoc competitions, and then through that they work out a handicap based on that. And I don't understand the system, but it's like golf. You've got so many points added to your score to bring you in line with the other people. I know you don't add them in golf, but you know what I mean. They
don't just be bigger and bigger targets, like rolling a truck for you to shoot at.
No, if only. No, you've still got the same. You're still using the same targets. It's just that you've got a bonus to your score depending on where you sit on the overall sort of handicap spectrum.
Fantastic. Fair enough. All right then. Well, that was a quick go around the room. We did do nothing for August. I have nothing to report for August. I've spent most of my time down the caravan drinking IPAs. And yeah, just generally being lazy. So all good. But back to school now. Back to school. Let's have a rundown. Let's go over to Toby James. Hot over to Toby James if he gets off his phone.
Yeah. I'm busy.
And introduce you to the pile progress. Come on. you
yeah,
can't do your homework now, mate. Can't do the homework
because
now.
I wasn't talking. That's my turn to do my homework.
Fair enough.
Okay, so pile progress, gentlemen. We've got some numbers to report in this week's pile progress, and I think I'm going to save them till the end. So I'm going to start with Rich number 2.
Yes.
Sorry to hear you weren't feeling so well, mate, but I'm hoping that means that you got in some solid gaming time.
I've got in some solid gaming time on Graveyard Keeper, which, for the uninitiated, is essentially Stardew Valley, but in a goth setting. Let's put it that way.
And the uninitiated, I should imagine, is 99.9% of the population for the games that you play.
Yeah,
to see fine.
Well,
fair enough. Sounds cool.
Yeah, so it is one of those games where you have a lot of crafting and collecting and that kind of thing to do. So it's quite laid back and quite chilled to play. And you can lose a lot of time in it. But because of that, there's a lot to uncover as well. And there are 4 DLCs that they released into the main game as well, which you don't do in sort of an order. So you don't finish the main game and then do 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are integrated right from day one. So you could find yourself doing something from one of the DLCs inadvertently, and then getting nowhere because you don't have the bit from the main quest you need. So it can be a bit frustrating sometimes, but I'm getting there. I think I've played about 25 hours or so of it.
I can't even conceptualize what
Yeah.
it is. Stardew Valley for me, and not even played it. It's just about growing stuff and trading stuff and talking to things and getting a house. Is it?
Yes. I mean, I
What's
got
marrying a
I
what, do you
did,
do in
mermaid.
what do you do in the graveyard then?
well, I have the entirety of the graveyard, the church. I've just built.
You'd hope so.
I got
least for
well,
some.
and you also get a mortuary, an alchemy lab, a tavern if you really want to. I mean, you can get pissed and then try and chop things up.
Okay.
There's all sorts of stuff to do on there. I don't know how far. I haven't played it before, so this is like a first time run through. I don't know where I'm going to get to, or where it's going to lead. Well, I'm enjoying that. I started, but then sort of didn't play any more Callisto Protocol, which is a bit like Dead Space.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go back to that because I don't think I was in the right frame of mind to get that going. But it reeks all over of Dead Space. You've got a guy who's on a crashed ship, and you end up on a penal colony where there's an almighty outbreak and people running all over the place. But that is due to the fact that everyone has been infected with the virus.
Mhm.
So you've got to, in true survival horror fashion, get as far as you can without getting your face ripped off, with very few weapons to defend yourself with.
I really fancied that when it came out, but I didn't think it got great reviews, so I jumped back off of it.
It's okay. It's kind of, I would say, Dead Space light. I don't think it's a particularly long game, in comparison. And then when I say Dead Space, like right down, if you know Dead Space, the character you're playing, you've got your energy marker that runs down the back of the suit, which is kind of like like a light system or whatever it is, showing you that. He's got something on his back like that. It's that close to it actually being very similar. There's something on the back of it, which it's more of a traffic light symbol, but it goes through green, through amber, and so on. So yeah, it's
Just
wearing
enough of a
its
differentiation
influence.
to stop them getting sued, basically, is it? Just enough of a differentiation.
Yeah, I reckon
Yeah.
so. Definitely. But yeah, I'm gonna go back to that. I don't think I was happy playing it at the time, but I've enjoyed it. I don't think it's bad, but I think it does suffer from being too close to Dead Space for it to have made too much of an impact on anybody.
Yeah.
That's as far as I've been.
Cool. Well, I'll be honest. Graveyard Keeper is certainly something to throw at the wife. She'd be well up for that. If we can tear her away from Animal Crossing. But yeah, fantastic. Rich, number one. I know you've been a busy man this month. How have you managed to get on?
I have completed Mass Effect 2.
Oh,
Survivor
Now-
count?
yeah. How many
What
people
was-
survived?
Very low. So it was an absolute shit show, to be perfectly honest. Now, I made a slight mistake. Because I dropped off it for a while, came back on, and then went, oh, there's a relay there. And I didn't actually realise that it was the Amiga Relay
Endgame.
4 Endgame.
Does it not warn you when you do that?
I thought it warned you.
I
But
thought
this
it
is
did.
what happened: is Rich tries to go past cut
No,
really quick.
that's entirely possible.
Yeah, you did it when you were playing the Artful Escape, and all the people who were watching the stream kept telling you to stop skipping the dialogue.
Yes,
And,
that was true.
I'm
I have
fairly
it, I
certain
have it.
that, given the amount of time that you've been on, you haven't done all of the people's loyalty missions, which would have seen your survivor count go up.
I did.
You haven't done the relationships or all the stuff that makes it beautiful.
I'll be
I
honest,
did-
there is some sort of like enjoyment. Not enjoyment is maybe the wrong word, but having not doing it perfectly has some benefit, I think. Like, yeah.
I've missed a lot of content. I was one put squad member down, and I was just about to go and do that, and I thought, I'll pop through here, and then I really thought, even though it said this is the end game, that I could come back. It sort of said something like this is the end game. I was like, I'm sure it's not true. So yeah,
Just assumed it was lying to you.
I just assumed that I could do, but it's allowed me to go back and do other missions if I want, but I won't because I need to crack on. But it was a thoroughly enjoyable experience. I probably did Mass Effect 2 light. I must admit, I didn't find it any harder. Everyone just died. I thought I might reach a point. So I'm not saying I was disappointed in the ending, because the storyline was what was keeping me along, and I never thought the combat was fantastic. It was good enough. I didn't think, wow, I love this combat so much, or the way it is, because I just felt I could pretty much cheese my way through it anyway. But the character building and all of that stuff was thoroughly enjoyable, and I can see why people love it. And it's a good thumbs up. So I will do.
Yeah,
3.
the real strength of BioWare's games is always the characters and the storytelling. It's not really the gameplay as such.
No.
That said, I think Mass Effect's combat and stuff was a lot more new and exciting when it first came out, whereas now it's kind of like been done to death, that kind of thing, and been done a lot better by a lot of people as well. Yeah.
I've got no problem. I've got no problem with it. It didn't make that. So I just felt like they made a Mass Effect 4 and used this combat system, but made that combat system more strategic. I said in the other episodes that I like games that would give me a sort of a hint what's coming up, and I can pick my team. It didn't really matter which team I picked, but I think the structure is there for doing a sort of XCOM on it, where you are sort of know what's coming up. You get a briefing. This is what you're going to face. So and so. Pick the squad members that are going to do it, and I think that you've got a whole.
I would love to see a strategy game set in the universe. Toby's shaking his head, but Toby clearly doesn't like strategy.
No,
I'm not strategic.
That would be perfect.
I am boom, bang, bang.
It's all tactics, no strategy. Yeah, so thoroughly enjoyed that, and so I've jumped back onto Baldur's Gate because I really want to complete that, and I'm doing a sort of multiplayer run through with a couple of mates. And you can see it on my Twitch. It's an absolute hot mess, complete mess. Everyone's dead. Every time I try and go to camp, Fuzzy steals everyone's clothes because he's a rogue and you can't find them. And so you have to run around the camp naked. I've transitioned. I've got a floating vagina which doesn't animate properly. So when you're lying down, there's a vulva that's hangs over you. That's very weird. Fuzzy runs around with his cock out. It's basically quite disturbing.
And you stream this on Twitch?
Yeah, well, I get a serious 18 rating. And
are you sure you're playing Baldur's Gate?
And letters from Operation U-Tree, basically. But yeah, so I'm going to go through that, but I'm going to get my personal quest, which is a lot more sedate and sensible, and I'm quite enjoying that. So looking forward to knocking that off the list, because that'll be a real shame not to do it. So yeah, that's my news, man. All good.
Lovely. And that brings us to me. Ha! You all thought I was going to do Kev, then I wasn't. Me. Me. I haven't played any games at all this month.
Oh, okay.
Not a bloody sausage. I have been caught between 2 trips to Devon in the space of a month at different times. And the baby learning to crawl. And a promotion at work, and all of the other things. I just haven't had time.
You've been adulting, mate. You've been proper adulting.
I know. I've literally been adulting. Like one of those people who says video games are for kids. Yeah. But I am very much missing Ghost of Tsushima and cannot wait to get back on it. I was really enjoying that. I'm just trying to find some time. Now I've got rehearsals 3 nights a week. It's sort of again, yeah, we're.
So tell us about the Oompa Lumpering then.
The Oompa Lumpering. Well, we've been off for August, so there hasn't really been much until this Sunday, where they made me dance for 9 hours. not in one number as Kev thought earlier, but in several numbers. But forgetting that I'm a 42-year-old fat man, which was hellish. I'm not going to lie to you. I came home and ran myself a hot bath. Because that's all gentlemen of my age can do when
With
faced
bubbles?
with 9 hours of dancing. No, not with bubbles. Some bath salts, however,
Did
effervescing.
you have a little boat to make it manly, or?
I did not have a little boat. I was
Okay.
listening to an Irvin Welsh audiobook. Shout out to Irvin Welsh and Chuck Palahniuk, my favourite authors. Lovely.
The key listeners to this.
Yep. Yeah, they are well in. But we did Graham Linehan in the community for a while, didn't we? Before he went all weird. Like
Did we?
he started commenting on Midlife Gamer tweets. He was like, "These are my people," and then he joined the Facebook group, and then something happened. I think he made some trans comments or something like that.
Yeah, he was.
And
He's in the J.K. Rowling trans camp.
yeah. But no, he was all in on Midlife Gamer. He was like, "This is what it's about. Like, these are the people. These are the funny guys. These are the people that know how to live it." And then just went completely off on trans, and that was the end of that.
Wow,
Well,
I was
well.
unaware of that.
Good bit of
Yeah.
MLG histrionics.
I am right on that, Rich, too, aren't I? It was something like that.
You are, yes. He
Yeah.
was. He had a brief stint. We had our nearest brush with celebrity in the MLG community.
Yeah. Was
Yeah.
the Father Ted writer and creator, which isn't a
Yeah.
bad one to have in a gaming community, to be fair.
No, it's
And
not.
he write-
But
And the IT
Right,
crowd.
The IT crowd as well, right? Yeah.
That's what I was going to
goddamn woke MLG lot.
I
No.
know. How dare we care about everyone equally? What the fuck are we like? Oompa Loompa is hard. Is what it is. Also, I feel like as a 6 foot Oompa Loompa, I'm going to be somewhat of a curio. So I will make sure that the podcast episodes come with pictures once I get into my costume.
Is it lycra based costuming? And
A
have we
little
worked
bit.
out whether or not
No.
you're Tango Man in it?
We haven't worked that out yet, and there are several costumes, but I do know that one of them is snug.
Mm-hmm.
I'll also be in lederhosen at one point in the show, which is something for the perverts.
Yeah.
So when's this show? Where is this show? Like,
It's Epsom Playhouse in November.
We'll be there, buddy. Free tickets.
No. I don't want anyone to come and see that. Jesus.
Oh, fair enough.
You didn't want to come when I was the lead. You don't get to come and see me when I'm the guy at the back.
but that's the only time we want to see.
That's the only time we can laugh at you. Not when you're doing well.
We can cheer. We can sing the song.
That song isn't really in it.
No, mate, this is
No.
disappointing.
Yeah,
You
well,
sure
I didn't write
you're
it.
not?
Do what?
That song, and I was expecting 9 hours straight of that, to be honest. Like,
I mean, I would have been
Yeah,
well
like
up for that. It would have been like the weirdest rave known to man. Just put techno drums behind it and just have it going on a loop. But no, because it's a musical, like they can't just have one thing, unfortunately,
No.
because otherwise audiences would walk out, and
yeah.
we like their money, so difficult. I mean, it's what, £25 a ticket. It's not cheap.
Okay, if you haven't been playing any games, have you been watching any movies?
Oh no, no. What I have been watching is obviously finished House of the Dragon. Started on the new season of Umbrella Academy, and can't decide if I care about that anymore. Which is a difficult one. Obviously watched all of The Boys, but I think we covered that out last month. And now we've got the new Rings of Power series, which I haven't started yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did enjoy the first one. But I don't know. Again, whether I care enough now for the second one. It's been too long. But yeah, no films. I haven't got time for films. Jesus.
He's doing parenting stuff.
Doing parenting. Your baby stage is too far away. You've forgotten all the up and down in the night and everything else. Terrible.
50-year-old man, I'm up and down in the night, whatever.
Mate, I honestly, someone should have told me not to have a baby at 42. I wish they would have. It would have saved a lot of time. I'm very tired.
You're doing the good thing.
Well, I don't know. All you can say is bird and wow. I'm not sure. I'm winning at that yet. But anyway, that takes us nicely on to Kev, who, according to our group chat, has some updates to actually have Year of Shame types cheering.
Yeah, so I did actually put some time and effort into that whole gaming thing.
Yeah.
So I have completed with the DLC Dragon Age Inquisition. I must admit I had something of a fire lit under my arse from the fact that Veilguard is coming out at the end of October, and that is a definite potential for Joker.
You can't have a definite potential. That's
definite potential.
It's a very strong
nail
potential.
Your colours to the mast. Come on.
So my concern is going to be around performance and stuff. A lot of the time, games come out and they're just a shit show for the first month at least. I've got no desire to throw my Joker away on something that I then sit there going, this is barely playable for a period of time.
Yeah.
But I am worried about spoilers and storyline stuff. You know, I don't want that ruined for me. So it's going to be tough for me not to just buy it, but I am also sort of waiting to see what the initial reactions, especially regarding performance, are. If it runs smoothly, then I'm not really interested in what anybody's opinion of it is in terms of the gameplay or the story. I will buy it anyway and make my own decision on that side of things. But it is the performance element of it that I don't want to just throw away a Joker on.
That's completely fair. I think, is it launching on all platforms at the same time?
Yeah, it's launching on all platforms at the same time. So they've said some really weird things, which has had me a little bit concerned. So one of the things they said was that on consoles they were targeting 30 frames a second, which I don't have a huge issue with. Especially, they've also said for that sort of game, they don't actually feel that it needs to be particularly any faster than that. They've also said, I'm now questioning whether or not what I'm saying is true. Or was this about Avowed? Fuck, this might have been about Avowed. Yeah, I may just be spouting shit now. So one of them also said that developing for the Xbox was easier than developing for the PC. And that had me, in terms of, performance, and that had me very concerned. That if they're locking it to 30 frames a second and are struggling to develop for the PC, that the PC version might be a bit shonky. I am now thinking that might have been Avowed, though. I cannot remember. And I don't want to drag this out by looking it up right now.
Is Avowed on your list as well?
It was. It has, however, been pushed to next year, to end of February next year. So I no longer have to worry about that. And it is on Game Pass, so it'll be a freebie for me anyway. So I don't have to worry too much about it. But yeah, so we'll see what the performance of Dragon Age is like, but there's a very good chance that I'm going to end up using my Joker on that. The other one that I have finished is Stray, which I must admit is a 5-hour game, and I'd done 3 hours of it. And then after finishing Dragon Age, I thought I need something of a palate cleanser, a bit of a break. So I picked up Stray again and finished it in 2 hours. Just that hasn't really cleansed my palate in the way that I was expecting it to.
Yeah, the saucer of milk.
But it was good. I enjoyed Stray. It was a good storyline. I didn't sort of delve into all of the collectibles and stuff like that in there. But I did enjoy just being a cat, to be honest. The entertainment of jumping on boxes and knocking over cups and stuff, just as part of the gameplay, was quite good.
And why? And why it's limited to 5 hours? Because that's about as much as I could stand of it.
As we can take.
There's a button to meow, and there's hours of
Cool.
entertainment from that as well, like just especially you
The-
can still do it during cutscenes and stuff. So there's like
the
dramatic,
equivalent of
serious stuff
Revelio in
happening,
Harry
and you can just sit there hitting meow.
Yeah, you're really selling this with a critical acclaim.
Kev,
of
can
what
I-
you can do in that game.
Can I stop you to ask a question?
Yeah.
And this is a throwback to another episode. Is there a reason why your background's blurred? Is it because your lube pump has been redone?
No,
We don't
there
usually
isn't
have
a
a blurred
reason. I
background.
hadn't actually sort of registered that
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
I can unblur it so you can see my
There's your pants.
my fabric softening
Good.
and my laundry. The
Your lube
joyous,
pump and your
joyous things.
pants. Yep. And
There's
looks
no
like a
pants
bong
on
back
there.
as
It's
well,
not a
yeah.
lube pump.
Lube pump, pants, bong. Gotcha.
There's an episode title.
Yep. No, it's already written. I don't need to do anything with that. Lube
So
pump,
yeah,
pants,
that's
bong.
my pile progress for this month. And we'll move swiftly on.
We will. Swift as an arrow.
Well, is that everyone?
That's everyone.
Where's everyone?
Well, it sounds like we had a reasonably, as a group,
Successful.
decent month. Toby's got
Yeah.
to put his finger out of his arse and stop his
I mean, I'm still
adulting
ahead of all of
commitments.
you. So,
Yeah.
mm,
Maybe.
mm.
Maybe. So on my notes here, we've got its releases, and that's
Whoop,
written
whoop.
down as me, which I presume, Kev, since you wrote the notes, that's you.
Yes.
That's how confusing
Yes,
that
me,
is. When you send
me,
someone
yes.
notes and you put me on there, so
Well,
there you go.
Just
Sure.
better put a name.
Okay.
Who
In
released
future,
it?
I will write my own name, and it will be
We're right into AAA season now, where it's all going to start.
Yeah, so
Yes.
weirdly, there
Yeah.
isn't actually that much still. I've sort of been looking ahead for the rest of the year, and there isn't that much. I think we have had something of an easy year. That said, there are a few things, and I feel like we should just knock this one on the head and talk about it. So, Outlaws is now out. It's getting mixed reviews from what I've seen. So the
is,
critics
but
seem to enjoy it and seem to give it positive feedback, and then the player base seem to be very heavily divided on it.
Well, that's not like a Star Wars community. What's happened?
Well, yes,
They're
there is
usually-
that.
They're usually so positive.
Unified
about
and
everything.
I did have a look
Unified.
through and dismissed all the negative reviews
Balanced.
that used the word woke, and complained that they could only play as a woman because that clearly makes it a terrible game if you can only play as a woman. But yeah, there does seem to be some commentary around like the AI being a bit disappointing and things like that. So I don't know. I'm sure it's selling well regardless. And there seems to be a fair number of positive reviews as well. People saying that it's great. Weirdly, like all things Star Wars, there's a whole bunch of people say that it is the perfect game and there's nothing wrong with it, and a whole bunch of people saying it is absolute dog shit and there's nothing good about it, and
Yeah.
very little in between. So it
think
might be a case of make up your own damn mind.
Yeah, I think as we discussed a few months ago, the Star Wars community seems to be split into people who have forgotten how to enjoy life and people who enjoy life too much.
Yeah.
And nothing in the middle.
So Toby,
Um,
this was one of your very strong
Yeah.
potentials for a Joker. Where are you sitting on that
It
now?
was. I'm sitting at, I have a 9-month-old baby, so I don't have the money for a AAA game right now. My money has been taken up in baby proofing. So, yeah.
You just get a small
it-
cage.
Yeah, no, I have, but even those are expensive nowadays, you know. Thatcher's Britain. So for me, yeah, it's very, very, very tempting and tantalizing. And at the same time, I'm still really thinking I might do this year dry. And not Joker and not Gift and just hardcore mainline all of the stuff that I've got until January the 1st. Which would be interesting. But I think for me, it almost goes to what you were saying about Dragon Age just now. There are people that are saying some bits are clunky. You know, they've mentioned the AI. They've mentioned several NPC issues and stuff like that. As it's a Star Wars open world, those are quite important. So I figure it's my birthday in March. By then, it might be completely well-rounded. And there might even be some DLC and stuff. You know, that could be a good time. There's no real onus on me to buy it now except for spoilers. Spoilers are the only thing that have me itching over buy now. But yeah, I've not seen enough to make me go, do you know what? Got it. Let's get the Joker klaxon and let's give it a crack. So I think for now, it's going to stay in the wish list. And we'll see how it goes. Like I mentioned in other episodes, there are lots of other things that are must-haves for me. Mass Effect 4, a new Fable, Knights of the Old Republic remake. All of those things, again, are things that I'd need to look at, and we're probably not getting any of them this year. I think it's fairly safe to say.
Yeah.
But they are still things that I would probably put above this in terms of want at the moment.
So
Yeah, I've seen nothing. I've seen nothing in anything I've seen that doesn't say this is just another big generic open worlder in the Star Wars universe.
Mhm.
I can scratch that itch by going back and playing some of the other massive open worlders that I don't have, that I haven't played, like most of the Assassin's Creed stuff.
Yeah, I mean, look how long it took me to finish Valhalla. And I've still got a load of those on my pile. I've got the Greece one, the Egypt one, the France one, the England one. So I have more than enough of those. I've got Mad Max on my pile, which I have played a bit of and really enjoyed, but for some reason I just didn't go back to it. But yeah, there's loads of open world stuff, and while it's the Star Warsiness more than the open worldiness of that game that is the draw, I still feel like there's enough time to wait and have it completely perfected and ironed out before jumping in on that.
I think that's right. I don't have the Star Wars connections you do, Toby, but I'd
Yeah.
hang on to it. Something that comes out like this, if it's split, there's got to be
Yeah.
something there. I'm going on the no smoke without fire basis for it. I was
Very
going to
much.
think about getting it, but for it to be an open world game with those sorts of problems in, I think back to things like No Man's Sky and those kinds of things. They became a lot
ham
better.
pie.
Given a few months further down the line, and they were all open world games that need a bit more. I don't think they can test them to the levels that they're going to have an open world game. No matter how much they say, you can't get a player base the size of the one that's going to want to play it. And an open world game, you can go anywhere, can't you? So there's going to be bits of that I don't think you can test it without getting it out there. To me, it seems like it's a bit of a beta version that's been chucked out.
Yeah, and I think open worlds have sort of gone that way a little bit anyway, which I don't think is a good thing, but I understand why. But perhaps they need to like actually kind of maybe embrace the early access thing, rather than pretending that they're not doing the early access thing. But yeah. So Toby, how you were quite excited about it and have been sort of all year. So now that you've got here and it's kind of like, how is that that feels like quite a big kind of disappointment rather than,
Yeah, I don't know that. I don't know that had we not been doing Year of Shame, and had I not been in the financial straits of wife on maternity leave and 9-month-old baby, I wouldn't have just gone, yeah, fuck it. It's more because I'm wholesale in, and I'm not the type of chap to throw a Joker away willy-nilly, he says, being the man that when he first played along bought Mass Effect Andromeda, which came out in February. So that was quite an early Joker. But outside of that, I wouldn't say I'm disappointed. I would more say I'm just being frugal.
enough.
And I'm using those points as justifications to myself, being
Yeah.
frugal and being committed to the challenge. I think I would be more than happy. Like, I played Cyberpunk all the way through when it was still broken, and loved every minute of it. If I can get on board with a broken game and then see it get better afterwards, I enjoy that. But yeah, it's more the challenge than it is the issues with the game.
Sure. Fair enough. Anybody else any thoughts on Outlaws beyond any of that? I think that we sort of covered that off quite nicely.
Yeah. No thoughts. That's confusing.
I have no thoughts.
Yes, I
So,
have no thoughts.
Yeah,
the other big one that has, I say big one, I hadn't heard about it until it started being talked about in the press. Black Myth Wukong. Have you guys heard of this?
is this the one there they've taken it off because they were doing some sort of advertising or forcing social media with some of the Twitch advertisers?
Not that I was aware of. I hadn't heard that bit of information. So it's a Souls-esque RPG, I think. I don't think it's like really Souls-like, but it's got Souls-like elements to it. Where you play like a weird monkey person, think Planet of the Apes style thing. It's had a lot of press coverage. A lot of people are, the typical Souls fanboys who, love everything to punish them, seem to be talking about how great it is. The company that made it got into some hot water around some of the stuff that the owner has said around like women and other minorities and stuff like that, which has caused backlash, which has then caused those Souls like fans who love to be punished to complain about everything being woke and you should just enjoy the game and not worry about what the opinions of the developers are and stuff like that. So that's sort of the press coverage that I've seen, and I feel like it's sort of almost benefited from that controversy in that I don't think would have noticed it if it hadn't come up in that press coverage.
Well, there was something about banned topics on sort of the streaming players.
Right, okay. Yeah, so it still seems to be available for sale on Steam. So I don't think they've pulled it completely.
I think this is stuff in China. I think this is stuff specifically for things like in China and that kind of thing.
Because it's a Chinese developer, I think.
Yeah,
they were told to steer clear of certain topics.
Right.
Cool.
Okay. So going forward into September, there's a few things coming up. Most of which I think is probably not of any interest, but we're just going to cover off a couple of things. So there's Harry Potter Quidditch Champions. I don't know if that's got anybody's.
Absolutely.
I'll be adding to the library, but obviously not playing until January.
Oh, is it on
PlayStation Plus?
Oh, okay.
Is it Quidditch game? Is it you're playing?
Yeah. So basically, the people who made Hogwarts Legacy have made a Quidditch tournament game.
Right.
And there's rumours of like the Harry Potter characters appearing as DLC further down the line, and all that stuff.
Micropayments wins you for money for famous characters.
Lots of people very cross that it wasn't included in Hogwarts Legacy because they openly said that they were working on it, and the Quidditch pitch was there in Hogwarts Legacy. You just couldn't do anything with it.
Oh wow! Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
I mean, you can fly your broom around it, but
yeah. There's then Age of Mythology Retold, which I'm mentioning purely for my own interest, which is a remaster, and I know we all hate remasters, but it's a remaster of Age of Mythology, which was a fantastic little game back in the day. So I think it is on Game Pass. So while I'm not going to be spending a joker on it, it's definitely going to be sitting there waiting for me in the new year. I don't know if anybody
Ever
else
played it?
Age of
No.
Empires games at all. Or...
Yes, Age of Empires. Played Age of Empires.
So it's Age of Empires, but
many-
it's mythological. So you get all the cool heroes and
Olympus and shit like that.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I played Crusader Kings a little bit when that hit Game Pass and found it thoroughly frustrating. So no, thank you.
Further evidence of your lack
Crusader
of strategy,
Kings-
I feel.
Crusader Kings
Yeah.
is very different. I think I've loaded up Crusader Kings 3 about 50 times and not got past the first sort of marriage and just gone, no, just too
I've
big.
done all of that stuff, and
Too
I've
big,
conquered
confusing.
areas.
Yeah.
I've conquered a few areas. I usually start out in Ireland and all that biz. I had a go at being the Sons of Ragnar. That was interesting. But outside of that, no.
Played it.
Fair enough.
One game we haven't covered, in our releases, which would have been a few months ago. And I only remember because the community started talking about it again recently. It came out and everyone seems to love it. And it's called Thank Goodness You're Here. And for all intents and purposes, everyone who's played it absolutely adores it. 5 out of 5 on Eurogamer, 10 out of 10 on Steam. So like it is much loved by everyone who touches it, and we've not had it in any of our releases sections.
Oh,
And I
wow,
thought
okay.
maybe we should.
No.
Yeah, this is the first time hearing of it, to be honest.
Yeah. Please watch the trailer. It looks effing amazing. Not now, obviously, but
Yeah,
Thank God
yeah,
you're here.
that would make for great podcast material. Us all sitting
yeah,
and watching.
we're watching a trailer. Well, it works on YouTube. Let's pause for a minute and talk about what we've seen.
What is it? Is it
yes,
like
that came out 1st
duck
of
game?
August, actually.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's like a little cartoony game thing.
it's almost like a Monty Python game. Is how it
Interesting.
looked from the trailer and stuff. Very absurd, very northern.
Oh, I've heard about this. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
read
yeah.
something. I know what. I realise what this is now.
Yeah, the game says players take the role of a travelling salesman who performs odd jobs for the residents of a bizarre town in northern England.
Has he got a
it
vibe
received-
of what that what's it called, Untitled Goose Game or something?
I think
It feels like
think
it's got
that,
sort
but
of
sort of
vibe.
extrapolated. It says that it received positive reviews from critics with praise for its absurdist humour and criticism for its short length.
Fair enough. Cool. Yeah, definitely
That's
one to have a look at. So back to looking ahead a little bit. Then got Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 is coming out. I didn't know how much
Wow.
any of you lot were into the Warhammer. Rich,
Very much so.
who's
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Rich one.
Yeah.
In fact.
Yeah. No, that's lovely. I love
So I think Space
I love
Marine
that
did
game.
quite well and was quite a good game. So and everything seems to be talking fairly positively about Space Marine 2 at the moment. So
Yeah, if it's only a PC release, if there's a kind of a Mac
PC,
version of it,
PS5, and Xbox as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I think you got a
All-
PS5
all of the
version, which
platforms.
looks pretty good.
yeah, that is something I would definitely pick up.
For a Joker or just
I don't think so. Do you know what? Because I'm in. My problem is do I stick? My Joker was always reserved for getting FIFA, but I've fallen out of love with that fucking game. I hate it so much. I just get zero pleasure from it, and then keep going back to it, and I just a waste of time. So, I'm tempted just because of my ire and hatred for that game at the moment to just, for the first time in 25 years, not get it. But the problem
I think
is
that
the
would
pull
be
of-
a good first step in your
FOMO.
road to recovery. Like,
It's FOMO
Yeah.
if you don't get it.
yeah, and
okay,
then-
okay. So no, I'm like
Mm.
genuinely intrigued here because
I'm thinking about it as a Joker because nothing else. If I don't go dry, like just because I'm sitting here like, yeah, but it's got the new kits on it.
is that like
But-
the difference? Because I've never understood the buying it every year because it looks the same to me.
Oh, not only does it look same, it gets worse. the gameplay gets worse. It's just rubbish. And
So why do you keep buying it?
Well, for a number of reasons. I think for most of us, we've had it ever since the original on the Mega Drive.
Yep.
Yeah,
Sure.
And with Brian Plank for West Germany and all that. And we've been through so many
Iterations.
And we have persevered so much that it's now like an abusive relationship.
Yep.
Whereby
entire year's progress wiped out, completely pointless. Start again,
I'm
and then
amazed they haven't gone to like a
immediately-
live service version.
It's how Rich and I met all those years ago, back in
No, I
2014.
think, and I think
10
as
years
if
ago.
that's kind of friendship does not happen again. I keep chasing the dragon. Is there another Toby James out there I haven't yet met?
It's going to score an outlandish goal from the corner flag and never again.
And never again, and then disappear off the face of the earth from the team. So yeah,
Well,
it has
some
its
good
moments. It has its moments, but yeah, I do feel like it's I'm stumbling around like a heroin addict who's just like, this is killing me. I know it is, but I'm still going to go and steal my grand's video recorder and sell it for it. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
do
So,
But if I can wean myself off that with some kind of equivalent morphine and
spend your Joker on something else so that you don't buy it this year.
You can do it. I used to do the
the
same thing with the Madden games. You can get it. I
Oh.
used to do it with the Madden games. You can do it.
Well,
Yeah.
last year I got both FIFA and Madden by going and doing play testing at EA, so I didn't even buy them.
Yeah.
And I can't do that this time because of this.
Because I'd only have to
change.
last till January. It comes out September. Oh God, I hate that game. I hate it. I wish it didn't exist.
I hate it,
September
but I
9th.
love it.
Wait, so when does
September 9th, I think.
when does FIFA come
September
out? It's not on
20th.
this list.
I've no idea, but it might be September 20th.
So
not FIFA
September's
anymore
going to
as
be
well.
a tough month for you.
I'm not seeing it on this list, but that doesn't mean you're wrong.
It's just FC25 or something.
27.
isn't it?
It's called
27th
EA
September.
FC 26.
Oh,
EAFC.
EA
Oh no,
Sports
20th pre-order, is it?
27th of September.
Yeah, so
there it
7
is.
days early. 7 days early access.
But I haven't pre-ordered it.
Yet.
Even though 7 days is going to be problematic. I don't want to play it though. I do. You do.
Why?
I'm like
7
Gollum.
You will.
Literally turns me into Gollum.
I like playing the Ultimate Team, but then I
Purvis is
get really
precious.
cross at how much money people spend on it, and then I turn it off. And then I
Precious.
turn it on again.
Precious. Yes.
FIFA
my
precious.
precious, my FIFA. Oh, FIFA. FIFA makes you sad. Bad FIFA.
So,
Bad FIFA.
talking about spending,
Yes, I do. No, they don't.
talking
You've
about
got
spending
the eyes.
ridiculous amounts of money on collecting things, there's a Funko Pop game called Funko Fusion coming out.
With Shaun of the Dead levels.
What?
Yeah, but it's got
It's
all
got the
sorts in
Cornetto
that.
trilogy. The Cornetto trilogy is in the Funko Pop games, and you can play
I
through
don't
it.
even know what
I
Funko
can-
Pop is. Never played it.
I collect
never
the
collected
figures.
whatever
I
it is.
collect figures. I collect the figures. There's
Yeah, I've got
levels
some.
based off the figures.
I
I
have a
might
Shepherd
just
one.
because of the Shaun of the Dead. I may well.
It's
So
a Shaun
the
of
intellectual
my life is
properties, the
It's
intellectual
another
properties that are going to be
collectible
featured in
edition.
the game include Back to the Future, Battlestar Galactica, Child's Play, Five Nights at Freddy's, Funko, Hot Fuzz, Invincible, Jaws, Jurassic Park, Knight Rider, Master of the Universe, Megan, Mega Man, The Mummy, Nope, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Shaun of the Dead, Team Fortress 2, only on the PC, that one apparently, The Thing, The Umbrella Academy,
Yes.
Universal Classic Monsters,
is
The
in it.
Walking Dead, Voltron, and Xena.
Yeah.
How many
it's
of those
insane.
horror movie characters, and am I not going to buy that?
Oh, well, I don't even know what this is. It's just collectible little things, yeah.
They're about
oh,
this big.
Yeah, so Funko Pops are
Yeah,
small,
Kev will have one.
weird.
I've got
I
loads
actually have a
of them.
very small number of them.
I have
I'll be back
some
in a minute.
for like
This might
things
be
that
a
I
camera
really like.
moment.
So they look along those lines.
Okay.
Of different characters and stuff from like across everything. There must be hundreds of thousands of them by now.
Most of mine are Game of Thrones, but I do also have Shepard from Mass Effect 2 as one.
Sure.
And Prince John from the Disney film Robin Hood.
So yeah, the fact they're doing, I don't know whether it's going to be like a Lego game or something, that sort of
similar.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
there's
but yeah,
lots of
I just
videos
saw it
out
on this
already.
list.
Here he is.
Which one's that?
That is Freddy.
Horror characters.
His mic's gone off, so his video can come on.
I was going to say, we can no longer hear you.
I mean, I haven't seen him this animated. It's the, fair enough. Okay. All right.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So apparently that one is actually of interest. I thought that was going to be a little jokey segment, but no, we've.
Scott Pilgrim is my my happy movie. When I'm sad, I watch Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
And
valid.
so as soon as there's
cool. Okay. So so a lot more interest for Funko Fusion than I was expecting. I'm assuming people are probably not going to be spending their jokers on it, but one for next year perhaps.
No, I know, but next time you see me, I should imagine drunkenly I will have at least the McCready and Simon Pegg Funko Pop.
I pre-ordered the McCready one from Funko Europe.
Right.
Fancy. Broken Sword: The Shadow of the Templars remake.
Ooh.
Yeah, significantly upgraded graphics and resolutions and stuff.
It's a throwback to your first
might...
episode, Kev.
It is?
Where you referenced the goat in the castle.
Oh,
yes.
yes.
The only one that got it.
Yes. Okay, so does that mean nobody else has any interest in Broken Sword?
I'm so interested in Broken Sword. I might have got a winner.
And that's all platforms, so including the Switch as well. I think it might be quite an interesting one on something like the Switch.
I mean, no, I will get it on my big shiny television if it's remastered.
Fair enough.
Yeah, big shiny. You know how much I love remakes and remasters, and I've always said
Yeah. Well, I
that.
must admit, I was a bit surprised at the level of reaction.
Yeah,
I suppose
no,
maybe that is the
Broken
threshold,
Sword.
though, because what was when did that come out?
Quite a long
25 years ago?
What?
20 years ago?
Did you say
Broken Sword?
I thought you said 5 years ago. I was like, no. Yeah, 20 odd. Yeah, easy.
Yeah. No, I've got a lot of love.
Yeah,
for this
96 it came out, so yeah.
30 years.
Yep.
No,
Jesus.
can't happen. Can't be.
Jesus Christ. Are we that old?
No. Put me
Yes,
back in my box.
Yeah.
Oh,
So yeah, a 30-year remake is Toby's threshold.
That's
Fair
my
enough.
sweet spot. 30 years is when I will accept it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, again, though, I probably wouldn't play a Joker on it. I'll probably just
Yeah.
ask for it or get it in the January sales. Another thing that I don't know if it's on your list and I'm spoiling the order of the show, but Wolf Among Us 2 is pending. And I need to get in on that because the first one was brilliant.
Brilliant. Yes, I love it. Telltale.
Yeah.
No, not Joker territory, but I've got to remember.
On my
again,
list doesn't actually have
January
a date yet.
No.
So, yeah. I think the only other thing... Oh, so Frostpunk 2 is coming out on PC. Again, for me, it's frustrating because it's another one that's coming out on Game Pass. And I definitely want to play it, but I will
covered that
hold
in a
off.
previous episode.
Yeah, we did talk about it briefly. So I think it came out into early access or something, and now it's actually coming out. New Legend of Zelda game, which I think is the sequel. Is that the Breath of the Wild sequel? No, this is the one where you actually play as Zelda. Which I do feel like they should have called it The Legend of a Link, just to up with things. But yeah, so that's coming out. People into the Zelda games at all, or?
No.
I don't
see
think I've
why
ever
people
played a
like them,
Zelda
but
game.
But yeah, because I was never Nintendo anyway, so. But
I have
I
Breath
kind
of
of
the Wild
missed
on
it.
the Switch, but I've never really played it.
Fair enough. Yeah, and there's a DLC for Starfield. But that sort of takes us up to the end of September.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed Starfield, but again, I'll wait for the DLC next year.
See, I didn't really gel with it. I do
Here's
kind
an
of want to go back
interesting
to it and maybe try again, but
Here's an interesting one. So Starfield was free on Game Pass.
Yeah.
From day one launch. What if they whack the DLC out free? Does that need to be my Joker? Especially if they push it as an automatic update.
That's an interesting question. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the agreement is if it breaks the game and you can't play it because it's an upgrade to the old game, then
You just have to unplug your
agree,
Xbox
but
from the internet.
if it's
I
just
like
a
to play
bolt
devil's
on,
advocate.
yeah, I guarantee the community will say, back in your box, go complete some of those fucking games.
Yeah, they wouldn't
that you
even
haven't
let me
completed."
play the EAFC 25 demo.
No.
Which,
Well,
by the sounds
yeah.
of things, might be helping you with your problems. So, you know.
It would have been, yeah, but no one cares about little old Toby. They'll let Rich off of his buying a game, but woe betide I join a beta. Woe betide.
To do with intent.
I feel like you might be
It's all to do with how much
still
money
a
you
little
threw at
bitter
them.
about that.
I just think it's very unfair. Rich bought a game.
I didn't buy
Oh,
a game. It was
shut up,
downloaded
no,
from,
Buy a game.
from
Shut
PS.
up.
I bought
bloody
it with
Plus.
money.
No, I didn't.
You did.
Anyway, right.
Right, so that is our releases.
That concludes our releases. Thank you very much, Kev. That was very good, very informative, and some food for thought. Now, on to our community questions. It's your letters.
Time for It's Your Letters. Here we go.
It's your letters, it's your letters. It's your letters, it's your letters.
Questions. That'll be me then.
Yep. It's Richard Ford or
Kick
Rich
off
Doom. Go
straight
for it.
away then. So, sorry for the short notice, folks, but we've got some questions. So, Alan Cook asks, and this kind of leads into another one, a question from Joe Middleton actually there. So initially there he says, for the repeat offenders, are you going to learn anything after your second sentence? Obey, Rich one.
I think compared to doing it the first time round, I'll whack the cliches out of the way straight away. I'm older and wiser, and not as cash rich. I had only just become a parent when we did it the first time.
Have you got a baby?
And yeah, no, I don't mention it much.
Right.
And now I'm on child number 2, which weirdly it turns out was named by you, Rich, in one of our last episodes of the podcast.
Yeah, I know.
subconsciously, which is one of the weirdest coincidences I think I've ever come across.
Sorry, for those of us that haven't listened to that, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I sent a
explain
message
yourself.
to Rich on this, but I didn't
Yeah, you did.
really fill you guys in. But before we started recording this series, I went back and listened to mine and Rich's first whack at this to sort of get myself back in the podcast frame of mind. And in one of our final episodes, Rich says in a throwaway remark, maybe your future child will just be called Gwendolyn James. And I had absolutely no memory of that, and I was walking to work listening to this podcast and went, oh my fucking God.
Were we having a
Because for those-
conversation about Wallace and Gromit or something?
It was something completely inane. Yeah, you just threw it out there. And I didn't think anything of it until I was, walking to work. Baby was maybe 2 months old at the time. And I was just like, Jesus fucking Christ. Either that stayed in there subliminally or it was a weird premonition. But either way, yeah, Rich technically named my baby.
Oh dear.
Oh.
And he'll be there to collect her on her 7th birthday. That was
Yes.
the deal.
The price that was promised.
Oh, you better believe it.
That
That's
was
just
weird.
I may have to fight you now, sir. But yeah, I can't remember what the question was. Oh, podcast. Yeah, older or wiser? Yes, definitely. And I think as a result, since doing it the first year, I certainly have become very allergic to the hype train. And I think that has stayed with me since doing it the first time. 7 years ago? I very much scoff at the hype train when I see it approaching the station nowadays. I distinctly remember when we did our first year, Rich 2, laughing at everyone who had been going on about how amazing Anthem was going to be, and it was going to be the best game in the world. It was going to be better than
It was
Destiny.
going to be the Destiny.
And it was going to be so fucking phenomenal, and
it was absolute dog shit.
I bought Anthem for £1.99.
And regret
That's
that.
how good Anthem was. I still haven't played it. Just bought it because I could. I've definitely got £2. I'm going to buy that shit. But that was a prime example of, the hype train needs to stop. And Cyberpunk was another one. Rich and I were very much talking about Cyberpunk for our Jokers.
Yeah.
And it was something we were both very vociferous on. And I obviously dipped on it immediately after Year of Shame finished, whereas Rich held out. And I, again, Hype Train was responsible for us banging on about it for a whole year on the podcast.
It will.
So since then, I've been very, like I say, allergic to the Hype Train. I don't buy tickets to that train anymore. And think that very much is why I'm not panicking about Outlaws or feeling like I have to play a Joker, and why I'm saying I may just do the whole year dry, because ultimately, I think when you get past spoilers, you're left with I've got loads to play anyway. Like, I've got loads, mate. The fact that I've picked up a game the size of Ghost of Tsushima, which was sitting there waiting for me to play it, like, that's nuts. It's a big game and it's beautiful, and there's still people discovering it now, and it's fantastic. And just the experiences that I had, and I know Rich One, you and I have spoke about this on episodes before, but finding something independent perhaps and beautiful, like The Artful Escape, like me playing Limbo and Inside rather. Like all of those things that you just don't. I guess Year of Shame is teaching you to stop and smell the roses, instead of rushing.
Are you going to say if you don't stop and look around once in a while, then life will pass you? Is that where you're going with this?
No, I'm stopping at roses.
I don't think you could claim that as your quote.
What was that? Ferris Bueller.
Ferris Bueller, yeah.
Yeah, I don't need to. I don't need to quote Bueller. Bueller.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I think what I might have learned is that I really want a PC.
Oh, geez.
I think a lot of the games where I've thought,
haven't you?
I think a lot of the games that I've thought, oh, do you know what? I should really it's Kev has brought up, like Frostpunk and just Space Marine has been much better on a PC. The games that I like, Dragon Age, all of that is better on a PC. So I've learned nothing.
Yeah,
that is probably the totally opposite way of the going completely. But I won't dive into it. But I'm fancying it.
I kind of think the same sort of thing. I think possibly all it's done is highlight some things that I possibly didn't learn enough of on the first time out. I mean, from the point of view of what we did learn, have you two guys? Sorry, Kev. This
no worries.
Past reprobates. Focus. Do you think you've gone back on something you did learn? So you sort of maybe, I know, I sat kind of looked at it and thought, you know what, I have been buying things just because it's there and it's cheap, which is something I always set out in the first. I learned not to do it in the Year of Shame, but then over time I've gone back and kind of started doing it again?
Well, I mean, obviously, I got the FIFA problem. I haven't ever stopped, and I thought I'd broken that on the first one. But with Game Pass and PS Plus, that all of that stuff is there, so it's not really buying cheap. And the problem is that I think if I do get into Steam and PC gaming, that may well
That would be the end
regress.
of it.
That may well regress me. Yeah, $6.99, $9.99, $5.99, $10.99 game.
£2.39, £2.39, £2.39.
4 or 5 of those a month. There you go.
£1.99 for Anthem.
Yeah. So
We've got a kind of a follow up to that as well, though. So, and Kev, you are included in this one. So, what do you think is going to be your biggest plus from this year's experience? Go on, Kev, you start with that one because we've been waffling on.
This is going to be, I don't know, a little bit of a shitty answer. Meeting you guys and this experience, I've really enjoyed, like, actually just making the podcasts, and sort of getting a bit more involved in the community and sort of having that interaction and stuff. I am genuinely thinking that I'm going to miss this element of it the most next year. So yeah, definitely kind of the biggest plus for me for doing this is these experiences.
Toby, what about you?
Well, I'm not going to suck your dicks like Kev did, that's for sure. I think that's probably the reason why the three of us are doing it again. It's always quite a fun experience. It's a chance to just get together with some people with similar interests and shoot the shit once a month, which I think, as men, we don't probably do as much as we should. And that's why all these groups are now popping up of men getting together, because it's one thing that Midlife Gamer has always done very well, is we've always been very inviting, very inclusive, and it's always been about accepting people on their terms, which leads to things like this and groups that can be made up of people from very different lives and just sit together and talk shit for a few hours. And it feels like a good time. This is essentially a microcosm of sitting in the Dragon in Birmingham with a pint that you've nursed for way too long after the night before got way too real. So
It's not wrong.
I'm not wrong. Rare that I am, if I'm honest. I think outside of that, takeaways are always a little bit zen from Year of Shame. I tend to find that I feel a lot more chill about my video game buying after doing this. I mean, I say that like I've done it 15 times. I've done it once before, but certainly having done it, it stayed with me. And this is more like a top-up, really. And, we're not the first ones to have done it more than once. I think Jace is on number 4 now that he's done, which is ridiculous. But people love doing this for this very reason, as well as saving some money. So yeah, I think those are my answers for this question.
I think for me, it's a case of getting a focus on what I'm actually playing. I think you can get into a rut of just buying things and looking at it, and you maybe sort of think, oh, there's a pre-order bonus, I don't want to miss out on that, or whatever it is. And I think that FOMO, you can get kind of caught up in that. I think doing this podcast helps you sort of filter that out and focus on what's important. I mean, you've mentioned stuff, Toby, with the Star Wars stuff and things like that. I mean, you're absolutely Star Wars nuts, and for you to say that you're not going to buy Star Wars Outlaws straight off the bat shows you must have been taking a step back and a look at what you're actually buying in terms of video games, having been doing this now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Rich, one.
Obviously, it reflects. It's great to do the podcast, and that is a big positive. And getting, we don't get together enough, and this is a good way to connect us together. So that's why I like it. what other good things? I think that yeah, you in a weird way, and we've all done this, is just take a break from gaming as well. Lift your head up, go out there, do other things, start archery, do some things you haven't done. So it dampens that. I'm bored, so I'll buy a game. It's like I don't really want to go and play games. I'll do something else. So you tend to sort of balance yourself a little bit better. Get out in IRL and enjoy. And till January the 1st, when we'll just go buying everything crazy and just disappear from society again. Yeah.
Cool. Right. Okay. So this is a bit of an overlap with what we've just had, but we've got some questions, a couple of questions from Joe Middleton. So, again, it says for those who've done it before, but I mean, I suppose Kev can chip in on at the end with this. Having done it before, does this year seem easier, harder, or the same? I mean, I would probably say to you, Kev, based on your expectations, what do you think this year is, how it's been? Obviously, the three of us have been here before.
Yeah, so I mean, looking at like the stuff that's been coming out, there's been nothing that I've felt like I've missed out on at this point. So it has just stopped me picking up the cheap games and the couple of quid here and there stuff. So to me, it seemed fairly easy. I haven't struggled so far. And yeah, the only one I'm really particularly kind of like I want is the next Dragon Age game, which I have that Joker for. So I guess we'll see how I end up feeling about that. But yeah, I think it seems like it's been a fairly easy year. I'm not sure it would be the same in other years, but I don't know.
Ev's a man with a plan. Rich, what do you reckon? Easier, same, harder this year?
Oh, without a doubt, it's easier. I don't know if that's to do with experience or the lack of games out there, but I think those two combined to say it has been a breeze. So I know that at the very beginning it seemed like an impossible task. I remember feeling really nervous on the way up, and the first month on the first one, thinking, "Oh, I just can't do this. This is crazy." This time around, it's been like it's a blessing. It's great. I don't know how I would feel. I think next year is going to be tough. I think I would definitely be, with Fable, things like Fable 4 and big releases, GTA 6.
Borderlands 4.
Borderlands 4. Well, yeah, absolutely. I can immediately say that's an impossible year, just with those three, basically. Because there's not enough for a Joker, and that will do it. So yeah, I think we lucked out this year.
Toby, anything to add on that one?
Yeah, I don't know that it's going to be harder next year. I think for me, like I said in the earlier answer, it's sort of a follow-on. This is a bit of a top-up to my vaccination against the hype train. I tend to feel like after we've done this, I really don't jump as much as I perhaps have done the further I get away from a Year of Shame challenge. I think that's part of why I wanted to do it again. I was starting to realise that I was spending more and certainly getting the FOMO more for things instead of just waiting it out. And so, I think after this, I'll be all topped up. But give it 2 years, that's when it starts to wobble and fall off, and you start to go, oh, all the things, the shiny things. I mean, we'll probably be starting to look at new consoles again by then. Obviously not Kev and now Rich, because Rich is going over to the Master Race. He's not coming back.
Not definite, but yeah.
Of course it is. I can see it in your eyes. You've left us already. But I think new hardware. They said that this generation was going to be shorter, and what shape that takes and how we are streaming services or anything else from there, who knows?
Hold that thought on streaming services and.
Okay.
Because I think it's definitely easier. I would echo the idea that we've not had that many big releases that we've been interested in. I think that's definitely helped. There's some
Yeah.
stuff that's coming in there, but I think this year's, in terms of the releases, is very much down to personal preference rather than being universally games that people just go, yeah, that's got to be something I own.
Yeah.
I think next year is going to be a lot more tricky for people. I think there's definitely, at least I think most of the people will find that there's at least one thing coming out next year that they really want to get, if not multiple things. There's a lot of stuff. So now I told you to hold that thought. So Joe Middleton follows on and says, does the idea of the pile of shame seem like it's been eroded with the proliferation of streaming and subscription services?
Don't think so. Is the quick answer. I mean, let's face it. We all, prior to this, Kev with more Game Pass, but the rest of us with our consoles certainly had those subscription services. And it's still very much a take what you want and leave what you don't scenario, isn't it? It doesn't change that much, I don't think. I wouldn't say there were many things that I played that I wouldn't have ordinarily if I didn't have the streaming service. I just didn't spend the money on them. Certainly there are some things, and I've highlighted 2 games multiple times that I played through this year and perhaps wouldn't have had they not been included in membership or subscription. But I still feel like the Year of Shame has a place even with those services existing.
Yeah, I think originally there was a lot of focus back in the early episodes of not spending money. That was kind of like let's not spend some money, but that's what's eroded. It's not about saving that much money because but we've changed the rules on the Game Pass and PS Plus, which means that I find it where I get not a bit of FOMO, or where it does get a little bit tougher, is that suddenly people turn around and they'll be like, oh, let's go play golf with friends, or let's just this is free on the service, so let's just jump into that for over the weekend and we'll all dive into that. And that's the point where I think, I could just download that, but I can't anymore. No, but what that is different then is focus on the games you have spent money on and get the value out of those games, because that's where you're wasting your money. If you put actual dollar into a game and that's sitting there rotting because you're just feeding yourself off of the subscription models, then you are doing yourself as much a disservice and buying new games.
Do you think the Year of Shame is easier knowing there's a subscription service that you could subscribe to the following year just to get some of those games that you might have missed out on?
Maybe. I mean, but I think we've all had to keep our streaming, our subscription services in one form or another to play online and stuff. And they're all sitting there, and we're all managing to not go, oh, I need crack. Well, except for Rich. But outside of that, we're not. I haven't touched them. I don't know. I mean, I've added things to library ready for next year, sure, especially on PlayStation Plus games.
Yeah. And some of us accidentally downloaded them at the same time.
Yeah. Some of you accidentally downloaded it and then played it, and then, I get it. It's difficult knowing what new game and not new game mean. I understand. But
confused.
Confused brain.
Are you bitter about that?
I'm not bitter at all. I am the sweet candy center of the universe. So yeah, I don't think that knowing that those services are there waiting for us makes any difference, because they're sitting there waiting for us right now.
Are they?
Yeah.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Right, the last but not least from Joe, then we've got, so what do you think that the Year of Shame challenge, the future holds for the Year of Shame challenge? It's
More
quite
gluttons.
a broad brush, that.
We've already got one person signed up. He was so eager, he signed up in like June.
He won't have any games left.
Yeah, he's already completing all of them. I don't know what he's doing, but he thinks he's still going to have games left.
He's got games left.
There's someone who knows.
I've seen his piles of shame, and
I've
they
seen
stop
all
him
of his
from sitting
piles.
down.
Too much information from you there. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the future. I mean, it's all going to depend on the release of the games, and then we have got into a bit of a situation where it's becoming the games coming out are less. I guess a bit like the movie industry, isn't it? It's all like Marvel, DC, just similar games, open world games. I think Star Wars shows that it's like they're sort of running out of new franchises. So unless there's a big push on brand new franchises that are high quality, you're only going to see games maybe 2-3 times a year, whereas it felt to me like 2013, 14, 15, those kind of eras were awash with lots of games you wanted to play all the time. Maybe it was, I was going to say my age, and I was like still in my 40s, so it's not as if I was a kid and I was nostalgic for it. So that's bullshit right there. But yeah, I think unless there's like a new hardware phase that comes out, I think that year will be hard. So I think it would be good to get, we got a few repeats. I think they'll be good. Get some fresh blood in. People who haven't been around the community for a while and get quite fresh to this. That would be make it, I think, spice it up a little bit, get some of that trepidation rather than us second tourers and third tourers.
You reckon you do it again, Kev?
Yeah, I think so. There have been points where I've been like, you know what, I can do a back-to-back. But I don't think I can, if I'm honest. So there's too many sort of. I could if there was like a minute between the this year and next year that I could go, right, all of these things on Game Pass, I'm just going to add to my library, and they can be part of next year's. But I feel like that would be against the spirit of things.
Well, it would be, but it might make for an interesting year. A second tour straight away. No.
Has anybody done that? Like,
has anybody back-to-backed?
I don't know. Does the only person I think of who could have done it would have been Jace, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think so, though.
No, I don't think so. I think
so. Yeah, that would be a new thing, Kev.
That does make it more tempting.
Yeah,
Trailblazer, come on.
Trailblazer, yeah, the first person to triple back it 3 years in a row, no new games.
36 months
you haven't got,
drive.
You've got a pipe. You've got, based on your current form, how long do you think?
Oh,
if you
my
this,
current
you
form,
would have to do Year of Shame.
I would die before I finished my backlog at this rate.
That seems signed up for the next 5 years then.
Yeah, easily. Like it's kind of crazy. There is also the element that, like, I do actually kind of want to do some upgrades on my PC and stuff, and I've been not doing them this year because that feels like not part of the Year of Shame. I feel like new hardware is kind of a no-go. So, and there's nothing wrong with it. I absolutely don't need, like, if something had broken or I couldn't do something, then that I might have that discussion. But it's running absolutely fine. I just want to put new bits in it because that is the problem. By the way, of joining the master race, you will constantly want to put new bits in your
become
machine.
The Borg.
Yes. Yeah.
Completely assimilate.
Especially as you do try and rope other people into it as well. So yeah, it is definitely a problem. So welcome.
That's what it is.
I'm not there yet.
You will be. It's fine.
He's got his hooks in you.
So yeah, I can't remember what the original conversation was there, but
let's move on then.
What's the future hold?
The last question that we have from Blair Ferguson. So, what games that have come out this year, which while not being tempting enough for a Joker, are tempting enough for a January the 1st purchase? And as back on the back end of that, also, have you noticed any difference in your bank balance for doing the Year of Shame? And if so, where are you planning to spend the multi-millions? Toby.
No difference to my bank balance, because nothing plus nothing is nothing. But I think, yeah, like we sort of touched on it earlier, but I think providing it's looking good by then Outlaws might be a January the 1st. There's a decent sale on. Same with Thank Goodness You're Here. The same with Wolf Among Us 2, if that's appeared by then. There's a few things that, providing there's a good sale, I'd be well up for it. But
You got a
outside of
shopping
that,
list.
yeah, outside of that though, like unless they are good deals, I'm not in.
That's why you're doing this, isn't it? To change your
That's why I'm
habits.
doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rich, what do you reckon? Anything? Well, FIFA probably.
Well, yeah, we'll see who it is, but it would definitely be Warhammer Space Marine, I think. And yes, unfortunately, it might be buying a PC in January and try and getting in there. And then there's lots. None of them come to my head, but we've spoken about quite a few of them.
Yeah.
Frostpunk, that kind of stuff. And a few indie games, but that's what I'm going to have to be. I have to kind of log them because I'm now forgetting where we are. There's actually lots of stuff coming, lots of stuff that we've spoken about coming out, and I can't remember the bloody names. Dragon's Dogma, that one really interested me. But yeah, so nothing burning, but I guaranteed come on New Year's Day, I'll have a little splash out. But I'm hoping I'll stick splurge, but I'll stick with the Year of Shame players and go indie. So I don't know AAA games. I don't think I've got to buy.
Have you got your eye on anything?
I mean, on the assumption that I end up buying Dragon Age this year, there's nothing dramatic that I'm sort of waiting for. There's a lot of like bits and pieces on Game Pass that I'm probably going to pick up and give a go. The Age of Mythology, Frostpunk. I'm sure there's other stuff we've talked about. Like Rich, I actually can't remember half the stuff we've talked about. Might have to re-listen to the year's worth of podcast to remind myself of the games that I was interested in. But yeah, I think everything that I've sort of been tempted by have been stuff on Game Pass, and I have kind of gone like, if we weren't doing this, I would have just downloaded it because I'm already paying for it, right? So yeah. But yeah, also kind of hoping that I don't just get back into the habit of buying shit. Yeah. Financially, weirdly, it's made little difference, and I don't know if that's just that I typically buy games when they're cheap and play a lot of Game Pass games, or if I'm just spending the money on other shit. I haven't quite worked that one out, but no, I haven't noticed a financial difference. But I think, like we talk about the fact that, the streaming services, the subscription services and stuff, they are good deals. They're not a huge amount of money. We've all kept paying for them. And I think actually I don't buy that many games, especially not big first, AAA titles in a year. I'd maybe buy one or two. That sort of money isn't really that noticeable in comparison to what it used to be, right? When you were buying, a game a month or whatever. Yeah.
I would say for myself that is it Balatro? That poker roguelike game was something I wasn't that interested at the time. Gradually got more and more interested. I did almost think I might sort of get that as a joker if I didn't have anything else, but I'll probably get that on January the 1st. Just because it's a deck building.
65 hours. I put more into that than I have in Baldur's Gate, and I don't know why.
I was interested in Helldivers too, but I don't think I'll get that because I think the time has passed now, and the prospect of having to play with randoms is not something that
I don't want to
look for. No, well, I've been there and tried to do that with Warcraft years ago, and it is the biggest bucket of shit ever. In terms of the bank balance, no, I'm spending it on horror character Funko Pops and archery kit.
Rich, you might have to make a
what
choice
it
between PC and Funko Pops. I'm afraid, like they're not.
Yeah, it does. They're not compatible hobbies. Yeah.
We'll see. Now, it's not really a question, but this is tagged onto the end of what Blair put onto the Facebook page. You're walking along in the desert, in the sand, when all of a sudden you look down and you see a tortoise crawling towards you. You reach down, flip it over onto its back. It lays there, its belly baking in the hot sun, beating its legs, trying to turn itself over, but it can't, not without your help. You're not helping. Why is that?
Because
feel
I am
free
an
to deal
android.
with that where you will.
Because I'm an android. Good quote from Blade Runner. Nice one, Blair. Love it. Loving your quotes, mate.
Yeah.
And with that, we are done.
Excellent. Thank
done.
you very much for the questions.
July episode.
Everyone. Brilliant. Right.
On the 1st of September.
We are done. We will be back within the month. So watch out. Tune in. Drop out. That's what.
Let it go become a woman.
Absolutely. Whatever that means. We're gonna say good night. Good night from the Oompa Loompa.
Good night.
Good night from the Master Race.
Good night.
Good night from our little Robin Hood.
Good night.
Good night. Night, everyone. Bye.
Good night. Bye.
Oh, they've got a Funko Pop McCready. That is absolutely awesome.
I feel like we've started something here. Like,
Yeah. Next
week,
episode,
next month,
Rich
Rich
gonna
one
be
is
surrounded by them.
absolutely broke.
Oh my god. Funko Pop McCready.